Welcome and karibuni to Aroma of Zanzibar. Today we are going to make chapatis in East African style, which we call it mkate wa kusukuma. Okay, so for my mkate wa kusukuma, I have some wheat flour and some all-purpose flour and some salt, which I'm just mixing to combine to make sure that everything is evenly distributed. And to this, I'm going to add hot oil. This is a mixture of oil and ghee that has been heated. Okay, this is a very old-fashioned method. You can use either oil alone or ghee alone, but I prefer to mix both. And then, as you can see, it's sizzling in there. And then I'm going to just mix this nicely with my hand and get some light crumbs. This is what's going to make my chapati a little bit flaky, okay? Okay, now, the story about chapati is, God, I have done this video about 3 weeks ago and I've just been dreading to do this. Okay, so I decided to finish it off today. Okay, the chapatis are mainly from India. They originate from India. Now we have a large population of Indians, especially from Gujarati in East Africa. So obviously we have adapted this from them, although the chapatis are widely served and consumed in Pakistan, in Sri Lanka, even Singapore, Malaysia. Everybody has their own way of making chapatis. So I have my own way of making chapati in my own home. So however you have it your own way, just be comfortable in doing that. There is no right or wrong. Maybe the name. Okay, like the Indian chapati actually does not have any oil, does not have any layers. But the East African chapati has. So this is more of a paratha, technically, than a chapati. Okay, but somewhere along the line we were lost in translation and we called the chapati paratha chapati. Okay, sorry, excuses, my Indian brothers and sisters. You know, I have lived in India for 10 years, so I understand that. So anyway, so actually in Kiswahili we call it mkate wa kusukuma. Literally means the bread that you roll or that you push, in other words. So, but lately everybody's just been calling them chapati, and we forgot the original name that we had. So never mind. So I'm kneading now, and I'm moving to a flat surface. Okay, and you want to knead this for about 10 minutes. Okay, because you want your dough very nice. It's going to be very, very sticky and light, but yet very firm. You need it firm, and I'll tell you why when we go to the second phase of the rolling of the chapati. Okay, so that's it. And what was I going to say about chapati? Yeah, our women, we pride ourselves with our chapatis, and in Africa, mainly, everybody does. It used to be done only with white flour, but I like with wheat too. At home, we used to make it like that, a mixture. I feel it's more tastier and it's more lighter, okay, and softer, okay. So my dough is almost ready. As you can see, my surface is very clean. My hands are clean. I don't have any traces of any dough or flour. Okay, so you see now how it is. It's thin, it's very sticky, but yet it's very firm. Okay, so to this I'm going to put this in a bowl, and I've put some oil, a little oil at the bottom, and I'm going to put it on the top too as well. And then I'm going to cover this for about 20 to 30 minutes. You can do longer if you want. There's no problem. At least maximum maybe 2 hours. Okay, then this is after, I think I kept it about an hour. I mean, this video is recorded about 3 weeks ago, so sometimes I use present tense, sometimes I use past tense. Please excuse me. Okay, so now I'm going to divide my dough into maybe about 8 equal portions. Now make sure whatever surface you use, if you're using the counter or the tray or the plate or whatever it is, make sure that you dust some flour so that your dough does not stick. Okay, and for this measurement that I am going to give you, it's going to be down the description below. please scroll down on the video. That's another thing. I always have people asking me for the measurements. Okay, you will get about 8 chapatis. I mean, yeah, 8 to 6. If you want them thick, you're gonna get them 6. Now I'm going to start with a famous part of the chapatis, creating the layers. Our women are so obsessed in creating the perfect chapatis with a lot of layers. Believe me, if you can make a chapati that has layers, you will make a perfect wife. I'm telling you. So please, there are so many ways of creating layers. I have seen numerous people doing some complicated things, but I still prefer to use my old style. I have not tried any other method. I like this way. It's simple, it's quicker. So just do what works for you. You don't have to do what I'm doing. So now I'm going to stretch my dough. As you can see, I've put some oil. And then I'm going to stretch my dough. Now, if your dough is not well kneaded, this part is your dough is gonna crack, okay? And you can stretch this as long as you want. And then that's it. All I'm doing here is just I'm rolling it outwards. And that's how I create my layers. You see, it's simple, it's quick. And then I'm just putting it like that and rolling it like a number 8, S, sorry, not 8. And then put one on top of the other and we're done. Okay? And I'm going to put this and keep it to rest for another 20 minutes or so. Like I say, you can keep it maybe an hour or 2. Okay? And now I'm ready to cook my chapatis. Okay? So make sure your surface has enough flour so that the chapatis do not stick. And it's easy to get them in shape because your dough is soft, it's well rested, okay? Because if your dough is very thick, very hard, it becomes very hard, okay? So these are very simple. Like I say, I just want to eat the chapatis. I'm not so much into creating, some beautiful fancy stuff. And that also you need, I'm not a big fan of chapatis because then you need a lot of ghee and oil, okay? Now this is the way I'm going to put my chapati in the pan. So it's the same way that I pick it up. It's the same way that I'm going to put it in the pan. Okay. Now you see, the same way. Okay. And that's it. And my heat, okay, the heat is also very important here. You want it on medium high, not too high, not too low. When it's too high, your chapatis are going to burn outside and they're going to be raw inside. And especially if you have those thick layers. Okay, now you're looking for the bubbles like that, and then you flip it over. Even if you don't have bubbles, it's okay. Once you have little color, you can flip it over. Okay, this is how I like to do mine. I flip it over, I cook it for like 2 minutes, and then I flip it again. Where are you? There she is. I flip it again. And I like to use my brush because when I use the spoon, I tend to put a lot of fat in my chapatis, and I don't want to put too much fat because we already used some for kneading, we used some for rolling, and then we're going to use some for cooking. So that's a lot of, this is why I don't cook much chapatis because of this. Okay, then once I've put the oil, then I'm flipping it over to cook on that side. Okay. If you want, you can just let it cook like that, like how I do. But if you don't want, some people use paper towels or kitchen towel and press it down to cook it. I do that only when my chapatis are thick, so I want to make sure that they cook well. But mine are not very thick, so that's how it is. Okay, and then you're going to flip it over again. And then here you just want to cook it like for about 2 minutes. Okay. And not too long, because when you cook it too long, then it becomes dry. Okay, so maybe just about 2 minutes. All right, and you need to control your heat if you have a very light pan. Okay, if your pan is not heavy, it's light, then you need to control your heat between low and medium. Okay, so that's about it. And this is my chapati, and you can see my layers a little bit. They're not much. Okay, so this is nice and soft, and Let me cut it inside. I have few layers, not much, but they just taste good. This is just for how I like to cook my chapatis, not complicated. That's about it. So thank you so much. For more recipes, please visit me at Aroma of Zanzibar.